Welcome back to this week's video interview with a leading thinker of business. I would like to introduce you to Mark Brammar, and as you can see from the screen, his business is Mark Brammar Associates. Hello, Mark.
Good morning, Carrie-Anne.
Good morning. It's great to have you on. I know we were scheduled a couple of weeks ago and it went along the wayside, but it's finally wonderful to be talking to you.
Great to be here.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know Mark and I first met, it was more than 10 years ago, and actually we've just been chatting before we've come on here and talked about the time back then when you were actually working for the Chamber, weren't you?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so Mark was working for the Chamber as the PR and marketing manager, is that right?
Yeah, so membership marketing manager was the title. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so that's when we first met, which is brilliant, and we've kind of dipped in and out since then, haven't we? Because we spent a lot of time networking together. And then in 2012, Mark set up his own business, which is Mark Brammar Associates, and he is a PR and marketing consultant.
Yeah.
You predominantly work with businesses in this region, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm quite lucky really that most of my clients are very close by, which is great because I don't have to travel too far to see them. And I'm focused in the local area. You know, I've worked a long time in North Staffordshire, so I suppose I've got quite a knowledge of businesses in the area. So it's been really good to develop those relationships I had working at the Chamber really into my self-employment working life now.
And that was a really good transition actually, because you knew so many of the local businesses anyway and had built up a real affinity with their businesses and friendships and relationships. You know, I think of all the people I probably still come across now in networking, I was definitely introduced to them. And I think I was a buddy of yours one day back in, all those years ago at the Chamber event.
Yeah.
I think I'm still in touch with so many of them now. I think it is a real community, isn't it?
I think that is it. That's the power of the Chamber, isn't it? That it's a fantastic network. And I think if you stick with it and use it and go to the events and are very proactive with your membership, there's so much to gain from there. And, I'm a Chamber member now, so I'm on the other side. So I use it and it's still fantastic. And I'd never balk at paying the membership fee because I think you get it back many times more just by turning up and meeting people. And it's not just I'm going to meet new clients. It's the people you meet who become associates who you can actually work with and ally with those people. So whatever it is, if somebody says to me, oh, what do I do about accountancy, I say, well, I know a really good guy who I can trust, who I've met through the Chamber, and who I can put you in touch with, and it's still really powerful and really strong for me.
And to be honest, I remember us having that conversation years ago about collaboration, working with your peers, working with your competitors, having associates that you work with, and I can see that's something that you've developed over the years. If you look on your website, you highlight the people that you partner with now, and I think collaborating with other businesses, especially now in the market that we're feeling now, I think it's really important.
Yeah, I think it.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
It means you can do anything, really. I think if somebody says, can you do this? The answer is always yes. And then we work back from that. And then I'll bring in associates to help with other parts. And, they start up with marketing and they end up with finance packages. They end up with sanitation, hygiene solutions, all sorts of things, through the associates that I've got. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, I think it works. We're the same because obviously our business is niche, so we can only support in a couple of areas, but we'll always get a client that asks for support in a different area. So I've definitely got 2 or 3 peers in recruitment that I would call on and say, can you support my client with this? Because I'd rather not have to turn them away, but guide them in another direction of someone. And I think it's that old phrase, is it? Know, like, and trust. I think it's so powerful, isn't it? They're the terms I remember being introduced to back in the original networking days, pre-2010, when I was networking heavily, and obviously when we met. One of the things that I do remember talking to you about, and it's all over your website, and it means so much to me because we do it here, but you advocate telling your story, don't you, in terms of,
Yeah.
you know, when you're working with your clients.
Yeah. Well,
Go on.
so I just say, yeah, wherever you are, whatever's happening, I think the story is really important. And nowhere more than recently with COVID, you know, because business has been through such a terrible time, and we've got a difficult few months, few years even ahead of us, haven't we? So it's very important that you let people know what you're up to yourself, what you can do to help their business, how you've adapted, and how they can adapt, you know, to make the most of. Let's face it, there's going to be opportunities out there. Every crisis creates a new entrepreneurial spirit and a whole new raft of opportunities. So it's about developing that narrative to make the most of that.
And I agree. I think there's so many businesses that have risen out of this, you know, and obviously there's always going to be, and we know that there's, you know, so much loss that's already happened in the local area, and we will see more, but there's also been huge areas of growth for businesses in the local area as well as UK wide, worldwide. And I think telling your story, I think people sometimes forget that their own story is extremely powerful. You know, they forget to talk about themselves. It's not always about the business. It could be about them as individuals as well, couldn't it? Because they are the business.
Absolutely. The personality is the person that shines through, and everybody, absolutely everybody, has a backstory to where they've got to today. I mean, look at yourself, Kerry-Ann. You're doing something totally different, and you've developed your latest business, which fits your lifestyle, doesn't affect the way you probably can service your clients a lot better, because you're actually far more relaxed in what you're doing work-wise, and the way you work and the way you can fit your family around.
Great. Yeah.
So it gives your clients that reliability, and as you've alluded to as well, you've got associates you work to, so if something happens that you have to go into isolation or you have to go on holiday for 2 weeks, it doesn't matter, because that business will continue, and people have got that trust that they're dealing with you or somebody that you trust, so it's just the same.
If we look at, and you're right, totally, and I think we all need to advocate partnering with other businesses. You know, I think it's huge to be able to support another business in your local area, or, you know, or UK wide. But if we talk about, say, the situation that we're all facing now, and obviously I hope that it has started to improve for many people, but how has your business had to adapt since March? You know, has it been affected? Have you had to make changes?
I suppose I'm quite lucky, really, that ostensibly there's only myself, and I do have a home office. I do actually rent a desk at an arts centre and Leek at the Foxlow Arts Centre, which is more for a social thing, because it's good to go in and interact with other people during the day.
Right.
But I've been able to carry on as usual. It's the only thing it's meant for me is a lot more writing, a lot more copyright, because when lockdown came, just about everything went online. So deadlines became daily, because you were having to put out information for yourself on behalf of your clients. And as we know, that information changes literally by the minute, doesn't it? And it still is now. You know, we were having a chat about track and trace and testing before this, and who knows what the guidelines are going to be tomorrow? Who knows what the local lockdown situation is? You know, who knows how supply lines are affected, whatever. So it was about getting that information out. So I was probably busier than I have been for a good few years during lockdown, because it was literally daily deadlines. And I was actually quite relieved when lockdown started to ease, because it meant those deadlines perhaps pushed back to every 2 or 3 days, or every week in some cases. But an incredibly busy time for myself. You know, I couldn't furlough myself, or I just had to keep going, you know, and pushing on through there. And luckily, the clients I work with, their businesses sort of went into overdrive as well. They were businesses that could actually work and offer a service through the pandemic. So that was fortunate for me, that I've got clients of that sort who didn't have to just shut up shop and, you know, literally mothball for 2 or 3 months. But I know my story. You know, I probably see myself as fortunate there, and a lot of people offering services that were perhaps one-to-one. Say, for example, if you're a personal trainer, you couldn't do anything for 3 months at all, could you? So it's been an incredibly difficult time, and it's
I think
about
I saw a lot
supporting
of,
those.
sorry.
Yeah, I suppose it's also taking on a support role as well, isn't it? Realizing that people are less fortunate than you, if you can only give them some moral support and help them through, and perhaps give them a bit of free advice and say, you know, I can offer you a bit of sort of free marketing, or a bit of a leg up during this difficult time.
I think there's a lot of businesses that have taken that approach, Mark, you know, especially if they have continued or even thrived. They've been very kind in terms of paying it forward, you know, and offering. We've had to do a lot of it, you know, we've experienced an incredible amount of candidates come onto the market, and businesses, sadly, that have had to make redundancies. So we've had to give that free advice, and we've really moved into a coaching role over the last few months. You know, we're like you, though, we have been lucky and had a pocket of businesses that we've worked with for several years that are in key worker industries, and therefore kept going and kept requiring our support. And I think what you hear out there, sadly, is not enough of that. Do you know what I mean? You don't hear enough of the businesses that have continued going and have done well.
No, you're just
sadly.
seeing the doom and gloom and the job losses at the moment, aren't you?
Yes, you do. So I've made it really, say, part of my message to try and champion, you know, the businesses that are doing really well, and keep that positive news going, because even just a little bit of positivity could actually raise someone's spirits, especially if they're looking for a job, or a business owner that has experienced loss. And, you know, so I think you being able to carry on and keep that message going for those businesses is great. You know, it's hopefully going to keep you going moving forward.
Oh, definitely. And I think it's I found it sort of reinvigorated me, and I actually feel quite excited about the opportunities that are out there. And I'm saying to a lot of people as well, you know, if you have been made redundant, and I've got a very good friend who lives close by, and he's been made redundant from a metal fabrication business after 25 years, but I'm actually helping him to set up his own business at the moment.
Wow.
And he's probably got enough work already in the pipeline up to next March, and he can't even market yet, because he's actually paid until the end of this month, so he can't do anything. He can't let people know he's out on his own. So I'm taking him through self-employment, and he's really fired up for it, and you know, I've got him excited about what a life changer it is, and he's got from, oh my goodness, I'm going to be made redundant 6 weeks ago, to just firing on all cylinders, you know, getting his new business up and running. So and he'll do really well.
I think that's brilliant, because there is so much opportunity for people that have been made redundant. You know, there's also sadly not enough opportunity unless you're able to set up a business, you know, but that's a great example. You know, 25 years working for one business, that's a huge example of someone being able to take their skill set and set up their own business and add some real value. And I think if we can share that story as much as possible, it might just empower somebody else. Because it's a scary move, isn't it? You know,
it's a very scary move, but I think a lot of people are going to have to look at it, you know, because there's going to be an ever-decreasing pool of new jobs as companies shed jobs. So if you do have skills that you can transfer into self-employment, or perhaps you need a skills audit to see what other soft skills you've got that you don't even realise that you've got sometimes. You need somebody like yourself, Kerry, to actually have that conversation, don't you, and go through that. And, you know, we all don't see ourselves as everybody else sees us, do we? Until somebody else tells us you're actually good at this, or and then, you know, suddenly it hits home, and there might be an idea for a business in there.
Yeah, I think with many people who've been made redundant, it is a bit of an audit sometimes, like you said. It's sitting back and actually thinking, what have I achieved over this period? Where can I add value? What do I want to focus on? I think people forget how much they actually do in their day job, and the value that they add, and the achievements that they've made. And sometimes I think it takes sitting down and just having a chat with a peer, a friend, a colleague, just to actually have some clarity on where the opportunity lies, and I think it's brilliant, and I could see the smile on your face when you were describing what he was doing, so clearly you're fired up for him as well.
I'm fired up for him. I was really excited. As soon as he told me, he didn't really, it's funny, isn't it? We've been friends within the village and we go around each other's houses, a few of us, and we have something to eat, but I don't think he had a clue what I did. And I sort of had an idea what he did, and when I told him, I've been working with myself for 8 years and I've still got connections with the Chamber, and what a fantastic startup package they've got. And I said, look, don't worry now, I'm with you every step of the way. And I sort of, I just love doing that. I really do get excited by helping other people, because I know it's changed my life. So I want other people to realise it can change theirs as well.
Yeah, to be fair, I remember you, when I first come back into the networking scene after setting up H2 and chatting to you then, you gave me the courage to join back as a member at the Chamber because of the community that it builds, and I knew I was missing a bit of that.
Yeah.
You know, and sadly I actually haven't been able to go to many events because COVID hit, so I haven't really been able to utilise it, but I will do as soon as it comes back. But even then, you know, you and I haven't physically seen each other for a few years.
No.
And it was great just to reconnect, and it kind of felt like I was just chatting to Mark, who I knew a few years ago, even though both of our lives have progressed, and obviously I've, you know, set up H2 and your associates, it's developed and developed. So it's just always nice to reconnect. I don't think you ever lose those connections if you're...
No, you don't, do you? And I think we're all changing. We're all learning stuff every day. I mean, you know, nobody knows anything and nobody knows everything. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow, and nobody knows the way your business is going to develop. And I've probably, when I started off, I wasn't really quite sure what I was going to do, and I probably ditched half of the services I started offering because I realised I'll just concentrate on my strengths and what I enjoy doing most. Because if you enjoy doing something, it comes naturally to you, and you can be far more efficient working for your client. As we said before, if the stuff you're not that good at, bring an associate in to do that. I'm not so good on digital marketing, but I've got a guy who's an absolute whiz. So, you know, I just bring him into the package and let him do all the clever stuff. I'm probably a bit more analog, you know. I enjoy getting my fountain pen out and actually writing a story about somebody. So I'll carry on doing that.
I love the written word, you know. I think it's really powerful, and
it's powerful,
It is. We've moved into video more recently, in like during the lockdown. It's something that I've stepped up and done, and that brings me on to where I want to talk to you about, actually, kind of, have you got any advice that you would give to any businesses that are trying to get their message out there at the moment? You know, something that you think they should do or could do better?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very important to make sure that all the channels you've got you're working efficiently. It's okay saying I'm on 10 different types of social media and I've got a website, but to be honest, if you're not filling those channels with anything worthwhile, and you go on your website and the last press release or story you did was 2018, and there's no fantastic photos, you're not talking about, you know, the really brilliant personalities within your business. You need to talk about not just the work you do and the products or services that you offer, but the way you work with charities, the way you work with the communities, the way you collaborate, and, you know, just letting people know what your plans are. And I think if you've got to step back and do a bit of an audit of what it is you're about, what the message is, what the key messages are that you want to focus, and perhaps look at 2 or 3 things within your business that you want to focus on in the next 12 months, in the next 18 months, and then really start to work on that. But make sure that if you're giving people links back to your website, there's a good website to go back to. Make sure your message is clear, make sure your brand is very clear. And I think to do that, sometimes it's worth just chatting with somebody initially. Most people like myself will have an initial chat with you anyway. We're not going to start charging you as soon as we walk through the door, and it just sort of gets the idea flow going. This is what I look to. A lot of people say, oh, I need a new website. Well, before you even think about a new website, are you clear in what your business strategy is all about? Is it clear to people what you actually do? Because as I said to you earlier on, you know, that the guy who I've known for years, he hadn't got a clue what I do. And I do find this sometimes with people in business as well. So they say, oh, I didn't realise you did that. Oh, I thought you still worked for the chamber. I only had that about 6 months ago. So, you know, even me, I make a living out of this. I think, crikey, if people aren't getting the message from me, because people don't, you know, you can't just rely on people wanting to know about your business, because they're actually concentrating very hard on their own business as well and their own image, aren't they, sometimes? So you've got to make it ultra clear. And although it might sound, oh, I'm being a bit ABC simple here, I don't think you can ever be simple enough, and I don't think you can ever tell the story once enough, because just because you put a story out doesn't mean people have read it. So you can put it out 10 times over 2 months, you know. Sometimes I say to people, well, just keep putting it out, or put it on LinkedIn 1 week, and then get it out to the press another week, and then reiterate it again, just to make sure people have got that.
I think you're right about the different social channels. As an example, I remember when we first set up, when I first set up H2, I've got them now, and I'm actually making a bit of an audit myself as to what to do. But, you know, we've got our Facebook page, we've got our Instagram page, we've got our Twitter page. Obviously, there's the website, and we have a blog that's running, and, you know, we keep that up to date as much as possible, because a lot of what we share, we know helps people in terms of how they write a CV or go to an interview, so they'll always be picked up. And LinkedIn is probably our biggest channel, really, that we communicate on. And I've come to the conclusion, really, that I either don't have the time or the kind of backup of all the communication I need to put on, say, an Instagram or a Facebook, and I'm kind of making a decision as to where's best for us to spend our attention and time. You know, put our attention to LinkedIn. We know has a dramatic impact on the people that we can talk to and the reach, whereas you know, I don't really update Facebook and Instagram, because I don't feel that I'm talking to the right people. So I think you're right there. You know, you've got to decide. It's a little bit like saying, I can do everything. Well, actually, can you do everything well? Like you said, you know, focus. That's why we're niche. You know, as an example, like you are, you focus on 2 or 3 areas within your business, and then draw out to your associates if you can't hit that for a client. And I think that's the best way for businesses to approach it, really. You know,
but every business is different, isn't it? You know, I've got another friend who she's a craft jeweler, so for her, Facebook and Instagram are everything, where perhaps LinkedIn to some extent as well, because you know, she's also selling to corporate clients, so it's a good way to tell people there. But
of course,
you know, it does depend on your business, doesn't it? But I think you're right. LinkedIn, people didn't get LinkedIn for years, did they? They just amalgamated all these connections on there, but didn't know what to do with them. And I think we're probably lagging behind the States in some way, that we're just about catching up on what to do and how to use LinkedIn effectively. And it is a very powerful tool.
I agree. I think LinkedIn has had a massive surge in lockdown. You know, I think obviously perhaps because people have been able to access it more freely because they were working from home or not working, you know. I think it's a great marketing tool now. It's certainly a place where I feel comfortable telling our story, you know, and we get so much engagement from it. But we'll always use our website, and like you said, tell your story, talk about what you do, but also think about the message that you get across. And I think businesses are missing a trick if they're not using LinkedIn. Depending upon obviously their trade and where their customer base is, but if they know their customers are sitting on LinkedIn, it's a great place to be, isn't it?
Absolutely,
Really is.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, from a marketing and PR perspective, kind of what is, you know, how can that really help in terms of, you know, marketing your business? If if we talk about PR, what are the key benefits? If a business hasn't really got a marketing plan at the moment, what would you be saying to them are the key benefits?
Well, the key benefits of PR that it doesn't cost a fortune to do. I think obviously getting it right is not as easy as people would think, and you want to be clear in what messages you're using and what channels you're using. but it is a great way to you know, to pump out your story to the various channels. And I'm still an advocate of the old-fashioned, you know, media as well, because I think getting stuff in the press is you know, it's quite it's good prestige for your business, isn't it? And people do say, oh, I saw your story in the Sentinel or in the Birmingham Post last week, and I think people still like that. And of course, all of these media have online presence as well.
Yeah,
So
of course.
I would just really, again, backpedal a bit and see what key stories you want to get out, what you're going to do that, whether you've got somebody within the business who's pretty adept at writing and that can string together. Simple, really, but if you can get those 5 points across, if you can mix that with some top class imagery, you know, please, I just see some people sometimes they take a, you know, pixelated photo on the phone and blow it up, and I think, oh, get your image right, because most stories are about the people. It's the people within the business, isn't it? The people don't remember the products, but they remember Kerry Ann, and hopefully they remember seeing my face as well. So that is very important, that you get yourself in there. And, you know, for me, if somebody says about one of my clients, I'm fed up of seeing you in the Leak Post, I'm fed up of seeing you in the Sentinel, then I know I'm doing my job right, because I'm getting that person's face out there in front of people.
Yeah.
So I think it's almost, you know, get yourself out there, so you're starting to say, oh God, not her again, or not him again. But I think that's you know, it's what it's all about. We buy from people, as we've said, don't we? But again, just to reiterate, getting back to think what your 2 or 3 key priorities are in your story, and concentrate on those, and keep, you know, get that message across. And there's been some absolutely fantastic examples of how businesses have helped out the NHS, they've helped out local charities, and hopefully will continue to do so. And I think that's very important, that you're seen as a, you know, a caring person, a caring business as well during these times, as somebody who wants to do something for the community. Because round here where we live in North Staps, it's a very close-knit community, and I think in 99% of cases everybody else wants everybody else to succeed, because
to do well.
To do well, because you know, the area is lagging behind other areas in, you know, social standards and regeneration, and we want to get everybody into full employment, and we want to give everybody money in the pockets, so it feeds the local economy. And it's as simple as that, isn't it, really? That's what we all want to do. So
yeah, you're right.
we're all in it together.
Yeah, we are. We're all, and I think I've noticed that more so than ever before, you know, more so this year. And obviously it's because of what the business world has gone through. It's because of what humans have gone through. It's affected everything, hasn't it? It's not like the previous recession where it was very business focused. No. This is about health. No. And so it's very personal, isn't it? And I think that's what's been great to see from businesses, is that you have seen that personal element coming through more so in their marketing. And I think, you know, where you said tell your story, and I remember when, you know, we've been in the press a few times. I'd like to get in the press more, but we've been in the press a few times. I've built up a relationship with local radio stations, and I know that I definitely touched clients via those methods more so than say what I put out on LinkedIn, because they're not on LinkedIn. They read the press and they listen to the local radio station in their office. And you're right about photography as well. You know, I remember a publication that went out about H2, and I was disappointed with the photography, you know, because it didn't represent my brand as well as I knew it should, but I wasn't in control of that, sadly, whereas generally I do try to take all the photos, because I quite like photography, you know. So I think, you know, I remember reading that on your website, and the photography I think is key, because it's a clear message of you. You know, we all buy from people, don't they? And if there's a clear imagery that does help to, because pictures help to tell a story, don't they? You know, sometimes more than words. So I think if the two are combined and they're done well, hopefully it really does help to get the message out.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think so. It's just be as clear as you can, and it's being honest as well, isn't it? You know, never overpromise. Then you won't underdeliver, will you? Really, if you're quite modest about what you do, you're hopefully going to overdeliver when it comes to your product or your service.
Oh no, I absolutely agree. I think you know, being upfront, honest, and you know, being human about the situation, about what you can deliver. I think it has to come through in all your messages, doesn't it? You know, so I completely agree with your approach.
And it's only the starting point, and then it's hopefully getting people to talk to you, and over time you'll either strike up a chemistry or you won't. And if you don't, that's fine. We can't all get on with everybody, can we? It's
I'll win them all, Mark.
No, we do try. But yeah, you know, if you can strike up that chemistry and that trust, it's about trusting somebody, isn't it? That you know that they're going to be there for you and they'll help you out, and at the end of the phone, or they'll come and see you if needed. And we can all deal with companies in, you know, the other side of the world online, but at the end of the day, we like to see the whites of the eyes, don't we? You know, we're still very old-fashioned, and I've chatted to a lot of people who are just getting a bit fed up of Zoom meetings now. We can't wait to get back in a room and you know, meet up again and actually talk, because it's difficult on Zoom, isn't it? You have to talk to everybody. You can't sort of go away and just have a conversation. Oh, there's such and such a person. I'll go and have a quick chat with them. And
that is. I agree, that's the power of a networking room, you know, where you can just hone in on an individual that you particularly want to chat to. And I think there's been plenty of memes that have gone around the internet about Zoom fatigue, you know, and I think there are a lot of people that I've definitely reduced the number of Zoom meetings. Gosh, in the first few weeks of lockdown, I just felt like I was forever on the laptop on a computer. And we were less busy, so I was able to spend more time doing that, and they were valuable conversations. But I like meeting people as well. We've done a few socially distanced meetings since we came out of what was lockdown, and it's been nice. You know, it's all been in a safe environment, and I do love meeting people and talking to people. Sadly, not shaking hands at the moment. But,
no, bumping elbows.
I actually haven't done a bump of elbows. I've just kept my distance and said hello. But I saw George bumping elbows with one of his school friends the other day, which made me chuckle. But I think the more we can do to be human and put the individual into the story, I think is going to help to win business, isn't it, from a marketing perspective?
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. But
so I think we'll leave it there, if that's all right, Mark. I think
if that's fine with me.
Really,
I mean,
great points.
Yeah, good. I've probably rambled a bit, but hopefully, there's one or two nuggets in there. People can...
Oh, I'm sure there has been. I'm sure it'll help whoever's listening today. So, thank you for your time.